Welcome to Body Hack and Build a Better You, the podcast where we unlock the secret to living a longer, healthier life and create a bloom zone in our life and within our family. I'm your host, Michaela Morell, and I'm here to provide you with the tools and knowledge to empower you to build a better you, one essential building block at a time. In today's episode, we're unpacking a little-known issue affecting hormone health: numbed-out hormone receptors. This is an issue that most hormonal problems seem to have as a common denominator, impacting how well our cells receive and respond to hormones, yet very few people talk about it. We will have a special focus on thyroid function today. If you have been dealing with hormonal issue but your blood work looks perfect, there may be more going on beneath the surface. We'll dive into the root causes, from stress and diet to liver health, supplementation and parasites, and touch on epigenetics. Let's decode why your body might be missing these critical messages, and let's create better circumstances for your hormonal system to start functioning again. I want to remind you that this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Read the disclaimer in the show notes, and I remind you to always consult your healthcare provider if you plan to make any dietary changes. But now it's time for the episode, so let's dive in. Hi, body hacking community. So today I want to talk about numbed out hormone receptors, because there are so many women out there that are struggling with thyroid issues. They're going to the doctors, they're measuring the TSH levels, and sometimes they look amazing already, and they don't understand why they're feeling so bad. And sometimes they are looking horrible, and the doctors add more hormones, usually a type of medication called Levaxine. It's usually used, but there is a few different kinds. But still, the woman is not feeling great, and they are going back to the doctor's office. The doctor takes new blood tests, and they're like, well, your blood work looks amazing. Why are you not feeling great? You should be feeling great. Anyway, so this episode is for you. I want to help you understand how the thyroid that is producing the hormones sometimes don't get the information that they need to produce it. And sometimes they do produce it, but the body's not able to convert it from T4 to T3, which needs to happen. And the reason why that conversion rate may not happen can be to a lot of different factors. But so let's start from the beginning. Our thyroid is there to help us, and the thyroid gland is what is producing most of the T4 and just a little bit of T3. T3 is what we really, really need, but the body produces T4. So there is a bunch of different things that needs to happen in the body for that to be converted. And if you're not having enough of T4, you can have symptoms like you can feel excessively tired, so struggling with fatigue. You can struggle with depression, with sensitivity to being cold. So yeah, temperatures can be an issue for you. And then struggling with concentration problems. Of course, you can also struggle with weight gain or not being able to gain. And there's a bunch of different things depending what is your biggest problem. Some people can have an overproduction, some people can have an underproduction. But today I'm going to talk about how we can create better circumstances for our body to heal itself, like create better circumstances for the body to function normally the way it's intended to. And the thing that needs to happen is that, first of all, stress levels can cause us to not have good TSH levels. If our brain is not able to communicate because of stress levels, then that can hurt us. And of course, also, if we're eating a low-calorie diet and we're not getting enough of the nutrients that we need, and if the body goes into a responsive state where it just tries to survive, it is not going to produce as many hormones as we need, and we're not going to burn off as many calories as we need. And because of that, it will stop the production or limit the production of the T4. So that is one aspect of it. So if you're struggling with thyroid issues, you want to look over your cortisol levels. That is super important. Then we need to make sure that we have selenium and zinc, because they are needed in the conversion. So when we're converting T4 to T3, they need selenium and zinc. And unfortunately, both of those minerals are something that a lot of women are malnourished in. Zinc often disappear as soon as we're eating a high carb diet or having high cortisol levels. If you're struggling with stress or if you're eating a high carb diet, zinc are usually depleted very quickly. And selenium, we are not getting enough through the food we're eating today. It's not enough of selenium in the fields where we're growing our fruit and veggies anymore. So it is problematic to get enough of selenium through diet alone. So you might need to supplement with both selenium and zinc if you're struggling with thyroid issue. But just because you do that doesn't mean that you will have amazing results right away. There are so many different factors here. One thing that we want to look over too is you might be able to produce enough, but if you're having a poor liver function, and that liver function can be poor because of a lot of different factors as well. It can be too much inflammation in the liver. It can be due to genetics, and you have turned on those frequencies. I talk a lot about frequencies for people to understand what is happening in our body, and epigenetics. To think of your body as a radio. Depending on what frequency you are turning on, you will have different types of music. And the body is reacting differently depending on what channel it is on. And sometimes our genes are turned on or turned off. So sometimes we're having genes that are not the genes we kind of want to express itself, but it happens because we have turned it to that frequency. And things that are affecting what frequency our genes are playing at is like everything is affecting that. It is the food you're eating. So if you're always eating bad food or highly processed foods, it's going to be not become another frequency. If you are drinking sodas, you're not drinking enough of water and your body is lacking salt, it's going to be another frequency. If you're subjected to a lot of harmful chemicals, if you're washing your laundry with toxic perfume and toxins, if you are putting skincare on your body that is not supposed to be on your body. People are using so many products that are harmful for us. They should have had the death skull on them, but the industry that is producing products for you have no interest of you being healthy. They have all the interest of just making money. So they don't care. They just want you to feel like it's working, but maybe it's going into your blood and harming you and creating health issues that you will develop in the future because you're slowly turning the frequency to another, and over time the body can't handle the extra stress, and eventually you might end up with symptoms and diseases that could have been prevented if you had more knowledge of what you put on your skin, for example. But there's a lot of different factors that are playing in. Gut health is playing in, cellular health is playing in, inflammation is playing in, and all of these things are playing in. But what is so cool with epigenetics is that we can actually reverse what frequency we're playing on. And then we can have the genes express themselves in different ways. And that can work to a benefit for us if we're trying to avoid health issues that are in our DNA or trying to avoid getting sicker or wanting to get healthier. So that is a side note. But our liver is playing a crucial role in converting the T4 to T3. So even if your levels of hormones are looking good when the doctors are taking the blood work, if they're not able to convert enough, you're still not going to feel good. So the liver plays a really crucial role. And I already touched that some issues with the liver can be, of course, inflammation in every single cell. It can be too hard cells. It can be that you're not having enough of the selenium and zinc as well. So the liver can't physically transform the T4 to T3. But it can also be due to parasites. It can also be due to your blood being too toxic, that is putting a strain on your organs that is too heavy for them. It's too much. So those are a couple of different things as well. And then if you're having poor gut health, that will put the strain on the organs. If you're having leaky gut, for example, and particles, and it can be, even if it's so-called good gut bacteria or nutritious food, if the particles are too big, it's going to still be harmful to our body. So if we're having leaky gut and things are leaking out in our bloodstream and it goes around and it needs to be cleaned out and it needs to be dealt with, and we are going to have increased levels of inflammation in our body because the T cells will keep on attacking it to try to neutralize the foreign object that is not supposed to be there in your bloodstream. All of these things are stressing our organs, it's stressing our liver, and will have negative effect on the conversion rate. Also, if you're struggling with gut dysbiosis, if your gut is not having the right microbiome that it needs, so it's lacking the good gut bacteria, then it's also going to be problematic because a lot of it's actually like both in your gut that this conversion is happening. So it's not only in the liver, but it's also in your gut. So if you're struggling with your gut health as well, you're not going to be able to convert as much. So those are a couple of things that are affecting your hormone levels to a negative point. But I want to go one step further as well, because this is something that a lot of practitioners have missed. And it is that even if you're having perfect levels, and even if you're going to the doctors, and even if you're going to a functional doctor, and they're measuring more extensive measurements than your regular doctor is able to do, and you're able to see that it looks fine in your blood, you're having all the hormones, but you're still feeling like, excuse my language, but you're feeling like crap, then it might be due to your cells not functioning optimally, blocking the hormone receptors. So every single cell in your body have the hormone receptors are located on top of your cell membrane. And if your cell membranes are too hard, then they're too hard because they're built up with the wrong building blocks. They're built up with the components that are able to squeeze tighter together. They're called omega-6s, fatty acids, and they're squeezed so tight together that the cell membranes become harder, less nutrients are getting in, less toxins are getting out. But another thing that is happening is that omega-6 are pro-inflammatory. So if you're having too many of them, your cells will have more inflammation going on the cellular level. But if you have more inflammation, what can potentially happen is that the hormone receptors on top of your cell membranes are numbed out. So even if you have hormones in your blood, if they're not able to attach the hormone receptors, they're not going to be able to do much good for you anyway. And if they're not functioning, the next thing that is supposed to happen, it's not happening. And the communication is cut off where it's not supposed to be cut off. And that is why our body function is not working properly, because it's not able to, because the communication is cut off. If you're struggling with an emergency and then you're trying to call the medical team 911 and you want help, but then suddenly the line is cut off, you're not able to talk with them, you're not able to give them the address, and they're not able to get to you and find you. It doesn't matter how many how many ambulances are in your area or how many people that have the knowledge to help you is around that area. If they're not able to get the communication about you needing them and where to find you. And that's what's happening in our body. We can have all the right building blocks, we can have all the right helpers, but if the communication is not working, they're not going to be able to help you anyway. So that is why if someone is struggling with thyroid issues, it is so important to measure how the cell membranes are working too. Because you can do all the other things. You can add selenium and zinc supplementation. You can work on your gut health. You can do liver cleanses and help support your liver, and drinking herbal smoothies every day, and teas that is helping to detox. And you can do parasite cleansing and all of these things. But if your hormone receptors are still numbed out, the communication will still not work. So that's why when people are coming to me and they're asking, if I'm only doing one thing, what should I do? And I tell them it's impossible to only do one thing for your body and expect it to work. You need to help it on all different levels. You wouldn't just, when you're cooking a dinner, you wouldn't just buy one ingredient and expect a 5-course dinner with that ingredient. The body needs different things, different components. They need all the things to function. Their organs needs to function. Your gut health needs to function. You need to have the right building blocks. You need your cells to function. And if you're only targeting 1 or 2 or 3 things, it's still not going to be enough. So that's why it's so important to have the knowledge so you can get empowered to do all the things you need to look at when you're struggling with thyroid issues, with hormonal issues. And the same goes for insulin resistance as well. We need to look at it from a cellular perspective. And I can promise you that if you empower yourself with the knowledge and you're targeting it from all different angles, then you will be able to create a body that is able to function a little bit better. The body is always self-healing under the right circumstances. It tries to heal itself all the time. I always tell people, like, with the amount of acne I had growing up, my face would not look the way it does today if the body wasn't self-healing. But it is. It's always trying to. And if it's not able to, we have to ask why. Why can't my body function right now? And then when we have one answer, we ask, for example, why can't my body function right now? Well, it doesn't have the right hormones. Okay, why doesn't we have the right hormones? Well, because we're not able to convert it. So why are we not able to convert it? Because we're struggling with selenium and zinc deficiency. Okay, so why are we struggling with selenium and zinc deficiency? Are we not eating enough, or are we not able to absorb it in our gut? Are we not able to break it down? Maybe it's an enzyme issue. Maybe we're not able to absorb the nutrients we're eating through our food because we're struggling with an enzyme issue. Or is it the cortisol blocking it, the stress? And then if we're eating it and we're still not having enough, do we need to supplement? Why would we have to supplement? What kind of supplement do we need? And then we have to ask all of those questions. So is this supplement synthetic or bioavailable? How long is it bioavailable for? Why is that supplement not bioavailable for more than 2 hours? What is causing the quality to be better or worse? And then when we have that answer, we have to ask ourselves, why are the cells not functioning? Because if they are too hard. Why are they too hard? Because of the diet we eat. Why are we eating that kind of diet? Because the food industry is telling us that that diet will help us stay healthier and healthier and live longer lives. And why are they telling us that? Because someone is making a lot of money from selling grains to us when we don't really need grains. Okay, so who is the people behind that? So learn how to ask question after question after question after question until you have nailed it down, until you have a protocol that is working for your body that will help support your body's ability to function. And if you learn to do that, your body will be so much happier. And it doesn't matter what people around you say, because you will learn how to ask all of those questions and try to find the answer for them. And I'm just here to help inspiring you to take control over your own health. Because in the end, if you go to the doctor and the doctor gives you a recommendation, the doctor doesn't have to live with the consequence if it's working or not working in your body. You are the one needing to live with that consequence. So it is important that we know that we can learn and we can get empowered with the knowledge to create better circumstances for our body. And that's all I want to do with this podcast. I want to empower you to create better circumstances. And my goal is that we only need doctors when we are breaking a foot or a leg or having a trauma. That is my goal. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope this episode was educational for you. I hope I touched on some things that you may not have heard before. And if I did, please leave a written review so we can help more people find our podcast. Thank you so much. You take care. Bye. Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, I encourage you to do one thing for me. Think of one person you want to share this podcast with and copy the link and send it right away. Thanks for playing an important role in the Blue Zone community. And if you want to keep on building a better you, one essential building block at a time, hit that subscribe button. See you in the next episode.